All right, welcome back, people. Today I have an absolute badass for you. I have Brent Bowers. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You are. You did good. You did good.
Good,
You did
good.
good.
So Brent is in the land side of real estate, and I'm hoping that we're going to learn so much from him today. Brent, if you could, give us a brief background on who you are and what you're doing now as it relates to real estate.
Yeah, I'm actually finally a developer. I've always wanted to be a land developer. I am. I've been flipping land for years. I was actually in the military. That's why I was able to get out of the military. Was I started flipping vacant, inefficient, non-buildable, not accessible, landlocked, garbage land no one wanted. And then they just kept getting better and better and better. And then I actually take the profits now and put that into commercial real estate. So I'm stoked to be talking with you today, Ton.
Hell yeah, brother. So you said you were in the Army, is that correct?
Yeah, 8.5 years in the military, couple deployments to Afghanistan. I had to get the heck out. I was never home. I was always gone.
Oh my God, 8.5 years. So what was the turning point that made you say, I have to do something different, and how did that get you towards real estate?
Well, it was a huge buildup, but like my second deployment to Afghanistan, my first wife left me. Then I got married again and we had babies, and I had just actually commissioned as an Army officer. So I was moving up in the ranks, doing very well in the military, but what I kept finding was I'm being away from home more and more and more. I'm getting paid a little bit more. My stress keeps going up more and more and more. My wives keep getting madder and madder and madder. Now there's kids involved. And finally, when that first baby came out, I had to go to the field like 4 months, for 4 months to train up to leave to Afghanistan again. This will be a third combat deployment. And I started listening to podcasts. I was like, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to figure out how I can replace this. Actually, I'm not going to say that. I was going to call it my rinky-dink salary of $4,000 a month. At that time, that was fine. But I was like, I'm hardly making any money and I'm never home. Is this really worth it? I should be able to figure out a way to get out of the military and make this $4,500 a month that I need to make to pay my bills. And I heard a guy on a podcast like talking about flipping land, doubling his money overnight. And I was like, gosh, I can do that. So I started just taking crazy action, and I bought the first one for $285, first parcel of land, and sold it for $5,000. And I was like, well, shoot, there's 1 month's pay. And I netted about $4,700. So I netted more than I make in an entire month with the military. And the second one was even better. I bought for $500. This was landlocked land, so they were easy to sell it. They had no problem selling it to me for $500. And I sold that one on Craigslist for $500 down and $400 a month. And I remember telling my wife, Emily, I was like, if we do this 10 more times, we are totally financially free. And over an 18-month period, I built it up to a little over 12 grand a month net coming in on garbage land. And I put in my resignation. I was out by 2018. I haven't had a real job since.
Wow. Congratulations.
It was quite scary leaving the military. I mean, I think a lot of people have that same reservation leaving their W-2 job. Now I take it for granted. Like I told you, like after this call, I'm done for the day. I'm going to the gym. I actually slept in this morning, so I didn't go this morning. But it's just, I take that for granted. I get to make my own schedule now. It's crazy.
That is absolutely incredible. Now, so it sounds like that podcast that you listened to was instrumental for you to get into land. Were you listening to just land podcasts, or was it any other real estate podcasts?
When I heard it, I was listening to the Wholesaling Inc Podcast, and I had the pleasure to be a host on there from 2018 up until just a couple weeks ago. I'm now no longer a host on the podcast. I'm changing directions on what I'm doing, but I was listening to the Wholesaling Inc Podcast trying to figure out how to wholesale houses back then. So I took like what I had been learning on wholesaling houses and I took it into the land space. And there was like no one doing it back then at all. Now a lot more people are starting to do land deals, so I changed it up a little bit. Now I'm putting brand new manufactured houses on these land deals that I'm buying, and it's been very, very consistent. It's just as easy to make 50 grand as it is to make 5,000 land.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times when when they hear land, it almost automatically sounds like it's a development play. But what you're doing, well, firstly, when you started was you were flipping the land.
Yeah.
You mentioned landlocked, right?
Yeah.
Could you explain to the audience what landlocked means? And then we'll kind of go into like how these deals are so fruitful.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and I don't really do landlocked deals anymore. But what I started with was landlocked land that was so far behind on the tax delinquent list, the owners were about to lose it to the people that had been paying those back taxes. But what landlocked means is just picture a piece of land surrounded by other people that own land all around you. There's no road to it. So I was buying that stuff really that the only the neighbors would want, or you had to trespass across people's land to get to your land that you just bought.
So why wouldn't the current owner of, let's say the same exact example, why wouldn't the neighbor reach out to that person in general to buy that land, or why wouldn't the owner of the land reach out to the neighbor to sell it
So that's a
instead
good
of selling it
question,
to
Tom.
you?
I mean, it's like, why do people take Rolexes to pawn shops? I don't know. Like, it's all about speed, sometimes convenience. It's about know-how. I cannot tell you how many parcels of land I have sold to people that lived right next door or owned the land next door and been like, I've been trying to figure out how to buy that for years. So I'll take it. What that means, I don't know. I don't know what they've been trying to do because I have multiple ways I get a hold of sellers. One is through offer letters in the mail. One is sending a postcard in the mail. One is text messaging. One is calling them. One is showing up on their doorstep and knocking on their door. So what they've been trying to do to buy that land, I have no clue. But I brought it to them on a silver platter, and they're like, I'll take it.
I love that. Now, is that when you were doing that, when you were sourcing your deals, it looks like direct off market, direct to sellers, right?
Usually, yeah.
Have you ever bought land and had to, so let's talk about the disposition side. When you purchase this land, how often are you sitting on the land before you sell it, or are you wholesaling it? Or yeah, what's the general time frame look like there?
Yeah, generally, if it's just I'm going in for a land flip, I want to have my buyer lined up ahead of time. Now that I'm putting brand new manufactured housing on this land, like brand new mobile homes, they're not really mobile homes, they're manufactured houses because they're never moving again. But I'm about 4 months. I want to pretty much sell that land or that property within 4 months of the time I close on it. So I don't ever just sit on land. Now there's some parcels where I've been receiving payments for years from this, like that one that was landlocked. The state owned all around it, so you could pretty much walk across the state park and get on your land and have beautiful hunting land right next to Fort Carson, Colorado. It was just down the street from NORAD where they track Santa Claus during the wintertime. Or I'm sorry, during Christmas. Like I'll collect payments for years from these buyers, and sometimes they'll just stop paying, or sometimes they run out of money. Sometimes they'll sell it and I'll get paid off. But the ones that stop paying, I take that land back and then I resell it usually for more, or I sit on it.
Got it.
I don't like to sit on it. That's just usually because we're just being lazy, or I have a very small team. So it's me and my office manager. I actually just hired an outside sales guy to help me disposition a lot of this land. I've got 50 plus parcels I need to sell. You know how I like the pain point got so bad where I'm like, okay, I need to take an action now to sell it. What made the pain bad is I had to write multiple checks for multiple counties for every year you got to pay these taxes to these counties or they'll take it from you. So that was painful. When you don't have any money coming in and you write a check, that's not fun.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, when you're eyeing the piece of land, and I know a lot of your sources are coming from direct mail, direct to owner, what makes the piece of land desirable that
Yeah.
you know for a fact that there's going to be a buyer for it?
Such a good question. So when I first started, I would just mail anybody in the county, or I would start with everyone that was behind on their taxes, and I would just eventually mail the whole county, and then I'd start over and I'd mail them again. And each individual parcel was like another challenge, another way to sell it. What's it worth? I don't know. So now I kind of changed up the whole strategy. I go now and I find out where the land's actually trading, where it's actually selling, and then I price that land out. How much is it selling for by the square foot? How much is it selling for by the acre? Then I make an offer for the exact amount that I can pay that will give me at least a $10,000 profit for if they sign my offer and send it back. And those are the ones I know if I'm going to buy it or not. They basically sign it and they send it back. I get a land deal in my inbox. So I don't have to get the rejection. I don't have to do the texting or the cold calling or get the no's. A lot of people are getting sued for texting these days.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because they're not following the, what is it?
Yeah, TCPA, ATP, I don't know what it is. But yeah, I don't want to mess around with all that. I want to sleep well at night.
Now, the land deals that you were sourcing, were they all primarily residential,
Yeah.
commercial, or what zoning were they in?
We've done a few commercial, but most of the time they were single family residence, residential, mobile home allowed. Not always, but yeah, most of the time it was a residential distinction or zoning.
So with the commercial ones that you found, did those have a lot more margin, or were they kind of the same?
Yeah, those were actually wildly profitable. I didn't know what I was doing because commercial's a whole different story, and it's good. You get your highest and best use. Will you put a gas station here or a housing development? Like it's just you kind of got to start involving the commercial brokers and seeing what that'll do. But yeah, I haphazardly stumbled into a few of those as well.
Wow. Okay. That's good that the margins are better, right? So if
Yeah,
some
all
people are
fake.
looking for the residential side, they can completely go to commercial to get a better profit margin,
No
right?
doubt.
Yeah. So for someone who is, let's say, a newbie like me in land, and I want to go into land flipping, what are the top three things that someone like me would overlook, like the
Yeah.
biggest red flags in the
Yeah.
beginning?
Top three. Number one, can you build on it? Number two, what's your access look like? And number three, can you get utilities, water, electric, septic, or sewer? And then I'll say the fourth one is kind of attributes. What are your attributes? Is it by a pond or a lake, or can you see a mountain or a river? Attributes are huge.
Okay, gotcha. So now, how do you, outside of having like a buyer already lined up for getting the plot of land, the expenses on it are primarily just taxes, right? Or are there additional
Yeah.
expenses, holding costs with it?
No, you're right. It's the taxes. A lot of times I'll use private lenders to fund my deals while I list them on the MLS or with the land sales expert. But I want to try and get, like we're buying some, well, we just finished up a subdivide in South Carolina, just sold them all. We did most of the engineering and the plat maps and the surveys and all the perk tests before we even owned the land. So I want to have as much off the plate as I can before I actually have to have holding costs or have lenders that I gotta pay lending interest to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you primarily look at markets that are local to you, like counties that are local to you, or do you actually veer out and go to somewhere that's in a different state to look
Yeah,
for
when I
deals
first
or when you're
started, I
flipping?
did my county I was actually in. But now that I kind of go off more of demand, like where the land's selling, 99% of my business is virtual.
Oh, incredible. Okay. So can you give us a peek behind the curtain of what your tech stack looks like what tools you're using to, or well, back in the day, I guess, when you were flipping, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go on Redfin. I'll see that's free, obviously. I'll see where the land's selling. And once I price it out, I'll pull a list at the landsharksdata.com. So I'll pull a list of landowners and then I'll mail that list with a program called Pebble. You can find that at the landsharks.com/CRM. You can basically there's a free version of it. You can use all my templates. You're going to pay for your mail. Sometimes they give you a $50 mail credit if you go to the landsharks.com/CRM. But those are my main tools right there. And once someone signs it and sends it back, my offer letter, or they call me on my postcard, I love using LandID. It's like $20 a month to use that. So those are my top tools: Redfin, landsharksdata.com, and then the landsharks.com/CRM, and then LandID. That's my tech stack.
Love, love that. Well, that's valuable right there. You mentioned something previously where you would list the property or the piece of land on like Craigslist or what have you,
Mm.
and you did something creative here. It's like $400 down or $500 down if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
and then a few $100 per month as kind of like a rent to own type deal. Is that
Yeah, that's
correct?
exactly right. They're buying it, they can use it. A lot of times I'll sell it on a land contract. Now, if I prefer to sell it with a way more bigger down payment, sometimes 10, 20, $50,000 down, and then I'll actually transfer that deed and then have like a promissory note and a deed of trust or a mortgage basically to secure my lien if they for some reason stop paying me and take it back.
Sure, of course. Now, to piggyback off of that, have you done anything creative like that we have not heard of yet? anything additionally?
I mean, I'll tell you, like I don't know, my fifth land deal, a seller he just wanted like $30,000 down so he can buy a RV and kind of live out his last days traveling the world. And I went to USAA. I got a personal loan for $30,000 at 14.99% interest. And most people were like, "Oh my God, that's too high." Well, it's only on 30 grand. The land I was paying total 75,000 for it. So the seller kept the remaining $45,000 mortgage. 45 plus 30, what's that? Yeah, 75. Just making sure
75.
my math there. I'm not a public math guy. Well, he gave me 0% interest financing for like 9 years. So that's like $400 a month. Well, uh, I'm paying the 500 and something dollars a month to USAA, and I'm paying the $400 a month. So I'm almost $900 a month in. Well, there was 2 mobile homes on the land plus a 14-acre pasture. So I rented out the pasture actually, let me back up. I bought his cows as well for $1,000 a head. I bought like 14 of them. And I sold them to a guy for $2,300 a head that then rented the pasture from me. So he was paying me like $150 a month for the pasture to lease it. And then I was getting money, I think $450 for one of the mobiles and then $600 for the other. Oh yeah, and then I had an RV spot I was renting out too out there. So I'm like netting like, I'm grossing like $1,500 a month, and my payment was $900 a month. Not a big spread, right? Well, every time I gave that seller $400, that my payment went down. And then about a year and a half later, I sold that land for $159,000. I paid 75, and then I got 25 grand down. So I paid USAA off. And now I kept that seller in place. I paid the USAA off with the 25 grand. It's about what I owed. And basically, I just pocketed the difference. Now I only have a $400 a month payment. I'm still bringing in. Well, at this point, I was only bringing in about $1,000. So I still kept about the same net, but I no longer had to deal with renting any of it out. And then that buyer actually died a couple years later. Actually, let me back up a little bit. The seller died first, about a couple years later. And I contacted his nephew, which the mortgage was going to him. I was supposed to pay him. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm so sorry to hear about your uncle. Like, I want to talk business when you're ready." He's like, I'm fine. Let's talk business. I was like, "Well, I owe you about this much." It was actually like 20 plus $1,000. Here's my payment to you each month. And I was like, "But here's the thing. I got 5 grand in an account that I just like have just for rainy days. If you just want that, I'll send it to you. If you're willing to basically sign something saying that this mortgage is paid for free and clear." So he's like, "Yeah, sure, send me the 5 grand. I don't want to collect $400 a month." So I just traded 25 grand for 5 grand.
5 grand.
Now it's completely paid for. And then the buyer died about a year later. And I contacted the brother and the sister. I was like, "Look, I'll buy the land back from you for exactly what your brother paid for it." And they're like, "No." They sold it for $350,000, and I got paid my whatever balance I was owed. But I looked at the numbers. I made like 160 grand net on that one deal with not a penny of my money on that.
That's incredible.
So I've done probably 350 of those types of deals. It's just crazy. There's no rules. Like if you
Yeah.
about it. And then I just put that money into commercial. I have a couple two industrial properties side by side now, light industrial buildings, huge mixed use building in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. I have an office space in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And this is all nice fix up real estate, triple net leases. Man, commercial tenants are the best, especially when they're blue collar people. Their livelihood
100%.
comes from renting your property, and they don't call you unless the roof gets lifted off by a hurricane or something, and then they're the ones paying for the insurance. So it's just like it's their insurance we're using to fix the building.
Yeah. I love that, right? And I love those creative deals you've done on that one story there. That's incredible.
Oh, there's
I
so
want to
much more to that
transition.
story. So much more. It's now a beautiful peach orchard. That property. It's incredible. The people that bought it.
Love it. But yeah, I wanted to transition over to the development piece. You mentioned manufactured homes, right? Could you walk us through what a typical deal looks like for a land development? And maybe we'll
Yeah.
get a little bit more granular.
I'm absolutely loving developing and placing these manufactured homes. I call myself a developer, but really what I'm doing is I'm buying the land. We're doing a little bit of clearing. I leave as many trees as possible. I squeeze a brand new manufactured home in there, put water and a septic and electric on there. So generally I have about 140 into it. Some markets 175 and others, but those ones in Georgia I'm doing about 140 into it. I sell them for 217. That leaves about 70K net profit after lenders are paid, realtors are paid, title insurance, and that's how I make my active money now. It's more of a consistent. I usually do 2 a month, where I'll sell 2 a month. I have actually 7 going on right now. Hoping to have another probably 7 going on in the next 30 days. I'm in buy mode right now, but I do it really. I mean, I just have a couple I have one project manager actually, one office manager, and you don't need a huge team to do this.
Yeah, so you essentially entitle the land, or is it already entitled?
Yeah, it's already ready to go. It's already zoned for a mobile home or a manufactured home or a modular home. So I'll buy the land, we survey it, we do a percolation test, make sure that we can put a septic system on it. I'll have a guy go out and clear the land, put a driveway in. We'll order the manufactured home. While we're waiting on that to come in, we'll have our septic system in, water put in, or we'll drill a well or connect to the water. The power ran, and then once it's all there, we'll get a certificate of occupancy, and then take this piece of land that used to be worth 12 grand, now it's worth 217,000.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So now I get the full picture now. You're essentially developing the one manufactured home and then selling that in and of itself versus mobile home parks where, you're getting all these pads ready.
Yeah, I
Multiple
bought a
pads
mobile home
ready.
park, but I've never built a mobile home park. No, I actually own a mobile home
Gotcha,
park.
gotcha. Okay. I mean, the margins are there. You mentioned you're in for 140, 175, and they're two and some change,
Yeah.
250.
Yeah, the ones we're in for 270, I'm sorry, 174, we sell those for 265.9 generally. But here's the thing, it's like, like one of our markets in South Carolina, the median home price is 440,000. Well, most of ours on land sell for 220, so we're half the median home price. Like these things will sell in a weekend. Now, there's some things to it. You want to know like exactly what you're getting into, what the demand is, like how long it's going to be on the market, and then obviously we combine it with having a dealer's license for the manufactured housing. So we're getting the land at a discount, getting the mobile home at a discount, and putting the two together.
Love that. Love that. Okay. So I heard you mention earlier that you had just you and an office manager. Is that what your team looks like?
Yeah, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. Well,
Wow, that's incredible.
I have a bunch of subs, like subcontractors, but like as far as employees, it's me and my office manager.
Wow. So does your office manager have a lot on her plate or?
She does. She makes sure all the note payers are paying for their land. She makes sure all of her tenants are paying. She answers the phone with the tenants. Like she's technically the property manager on most of these. Make sure, she talks to the accountant. Yeah, I don't know. She answers the phone. She makes sure I'm scheduled to talk to guys like you on these podcasts. So yeah, she's pretty busy actually now that I think about it.
I love that. So are you a big guy, like with systems and processes in place in order to kind of not necessarily automate it, but kind of give you a roadmap of what to do on a day-to-day basis? Or does the office manager just kind of fly by the seat of her pants?
Yeah, she pretty much flies what's needing to be done. She has processes that she follows, but yeah, you give me a process, I'm never going to follow. I'm just not that type of person. I'm like, what are we doing today? What am I going to build today? And we went and checked out. I don't really go to my projects that we build, but this one's kind of been a problem child. So me and my son drove an hour today to go. I stopped by Home Depot on the way there, bought a thing of blue tape, like the painter's tape. And I was like, we're going to go and find every problem with this thing. We're going to put tape everywhere so it's fixed. But yeah, we kind of got a lemon one. That's like, there's a bunch of little things needing fixed. And like, I don't like the buyers to see that kind of stuff. I want them to see,
Sure.
I want them to walk in and be like, wow, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear, the hot water valve didn't work on the tub. What?
Yeah.
So,
Well, so are there specific types of land like agricultural, recreational, and maybe some parcels that are already entitled that you're seeing the biggest upside from? And obviously you can't say manufactured homes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I, my subdivides are kind of where I almost do an entitlement play. I'm not putting utilities or anything in there. That's not my game. I like playing. I like to be in and out of the land deal. I don't know. I hope I understood the question correctly, but I'll do a subdivide here and there, or just a regular land flip here and there. But my biggest passion right now is just helping with the affordable housing crisis. I mean, I'm hearing one webinar saying 4.5 million houses short, another one saying 3.7 million houses short. I don't know what the answer is, but literally, let's just say it's 3 million short. I mean, there's a lot of houses. No one's going to put a dent in that anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. So for the average person or the listener who's into commercial already, or they could be in multifamily, why should they look at land as another aspect to their portfolio?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say I would rather talk about putting manufactured houses on land. Yeah, you can flip regular land, but you got to get it at a discount. Like I'm able to pay almost full retail right now for some of my land deals because there's such a need for this housing. Like I gave you that example of South Carolina. I can't build these fast enough when I'm selling them for almost $200,000 less than the median home price or half the median home price. That's a great area. Another area I'm in, a brand new concrete block structure home is $100,000 more than one of these brand new manufactured homes on the same size parcel of land. I mean, we're talking almost $700 a month difference in the mortgage payment. Like that's the difference between having food and putting it on the table or not for a family. That everything's been going up in the United States. A lot of things prices have been increasing, but one thing I'm not seeing increase is American salary. But Clayton Homes, one of the manufacturers that we use to buy homes from, they actually lowered prices just recently on several of our houses.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, the shortage is not incredible, but lowering some prices is kind of nice, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they're figuring out how to make these things more efficient. That's it. It's all about they don't build cars with humans. It's all machines now. Like
Yeah.
that's why I'd rather order one straight from a factory than do a build myself.
Sure, sure. Now, I think I saw somewhere where you are a proponent of the Go-Giver.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
I had Bob Berg on. He was phenomenal.
No
So I have
kidding.
to ask you, yeah,
That
yeah,
is
Bob Berg
so,
was
you're the
awesome.
first person that's ever told me that.
Really?
Yeah.
Go-Giver has been my favorite book. So I have to ask you, which one of the five laws were your favorite?
Man, it's been so long since I've read that book, but gosh, you really put me on the spot.
Law of authenticity, law of value, law of reciprocity. And I'm blanking on the other two.
I mean, I'm going to say the authenticity because, you come at someone with your authentic self. There's no denying it. There's no rehearsing it. There's just like today, we're talking, neither one of us are reading. So yes, thank you for reminding me of those. I got to read that book again. It's been a
I
while. I
it's
used to
one of
read it.
those books I reread every year.
You're not the first person that's told me that. I've only read it probably twice now, but it's all about giving so much value. Someone just can't forget it type thing, and being a go-giver. Not to be confused with a go-getter for anybody listening to this, but a go-giver.
Right, right, 100%. And has any of that, any of the, I guess, principles or just the story itself, has that translated to you in your business?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel the more we can give, the better. It's like today that with the contractor I met out there to do the punch list on the manufactured home we put in, I was like telling him, I was like, listen, you have no clue, which he does. He's been doing this a while. I was like, someone's going to barely be able to afford this house. They're going to put all their money into it. Like when they get it, I want it to be perfect. He's like, well, most people actually don't care that much. You're about one of the first people I've ever heard care that much. Honestly, I think it's because we want to be go-givers. Like, I was like, one, my name's on this. And two, it's like, I'm putting myself in this family's shoes. Like, they are buying a brand new house because they're expecting not to make a single repair on it for a long time. So we can't
Yeah.
give it to them with repairs needed.
No, I love that. I love that. You got to, give them product that you can really stand behind, right? You wouldn't want to, like you said, you putting yourself in their shoes, you would want to be in a product that is phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
No or very little mistakes, you know?
Yeah, something to be proud of. They're going to invite their friends over and be like, come to our housewarming party. Like, you don't want to see like little pieces of door jamb or casing coming off, or the trim work's not completely glued down. Like, give me a break.
Right, right. Well, what does the future look like for you? I know you're working on a lot of these manufactured homes. Anything else on the horizon?
Yeah, we're actually looking at selling a couple of our commercial properties here recently. The future is kind of slowing down a little bit, and enjoying some of this, while still simultaneously placing manufactured homes on land. I mean, you only got to do two a month to do 100 grand a month. It's like,
Yeah.
like, I'm not all about scale craziness. Like, a lot of these guys are talking scale, scale, scale. I've scaled, I've compressed, I've scaled, I've compressed. It's fun not having any employees.
I love that. And your team it's razor thin, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
We actually rented out our office space. I own the building, but we rented out, actually, geez, when did I rent it? 20. And I was going to the office every day, paying for the cleaning, paying for the team. We had 15 team members, so I just keep kind of compressing. And it was so nice renting that office out to someone else. Now they're paying all the bills, and we're netting money, and the building's getting paid down, and we're building appreciation. And then we did a cost segregation on it so we can lower our tax bills. I was like, man, so now I have this small home office that I work out of. And then we bought a mobile office, bought an RV to travel while I'm working.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love the way you're compressing, right? So how does the audience add value to you?
I would say, geez, if you want to get into real estate and you're not in, there's something you're probably good at. Like, I've trained a lot of people how to buy and sell land. I've trained a lot of people how to place manufactured houses on land. I see some people that are really good at lending money. I see some people that are really good at finding deals. Do what you're good at and maximize that. I borrow money from people all the time. I call my private lenders to do these deals with. Like, if you got funds and you want to get in the real estate game, even if you don't lend to me, I'll walk you through what I'm doing with my lenders so you get your money back and your money's protected. So there's so many ways. Guys, if anybody wants to reach out, head on over to thelandsharks.com and schedule a call with me.
Perfect. Now, that's all the questions I had for you, Brent. But before you leave us, are there any other links, any other places where people can find you, reach out to you, etc.?
Thelandsharks.com, schedule a call. You'll either talk to me or Jed. Jed's no slouch. He's been in real estate a while. He's just did a $15 million raise on a multifamily unit. But yeah, I'd say the only other thing is check out my YouTube, Brent Bowers, or maybe it's Brent L. Bowers.
All right, I'll put all those in the show notes for everybody. Do you have any social media links you'd like to share?
Yeah, it's all Brent L. Bowers on Facebook and Instagram, and yeah, I'm trying to.
Perfect. I'll get you tagged up as well.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Don. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate your time.
Have a great day.
You too, brother.